ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति सुपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती राधानाथ स्वामी नामिने नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवाणी पाश्चात्य गम करोति वाचालं मंगं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वर। हरि ओम तत्सत। Hare Krishna. So I'd like to welcome everyone. Hope you all had a nourishing and blissful Sri Balram Purnima festivity, and Janmashtami is fast approaching. So hope you're all getting geared up for that. So today we are continuing our discussion on the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and I will be aiming to complete the last section of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So in the 9th chapter, up until now, we have discussed various beautiful truths regarding Ananya Bhakti that the Lord has revealed. The Lord is giving the most confidential knowledge. The Lord has also contrasted it with other forms of worship which are lesser, which are not a full, complete understanding of the Lord. And we ended with verse 25, the last session, where essentially the Lord concludes that section of different types of worship by saying that one's ultimate destination or attainment very much depends on what one worships. So the Lord is very clear. He says, Yanti Deva Vratat Devan, Pitrun Yanti, Pitrvrataha, Bhutan Yanti Bhutejo, Madbhakta Yanti Mamak. If you worship the Devatas, the best you can attain is the abode of the Devatas. Those who worship the ancestors, the Pitris, can attain up to Pitriloka. Those who worship the ghosts, they will attain the realm of the ghosts. But those who worship me, Krishna says, they attain my supreme abode. And the Lord has already clearly indicated that other than his own abode, natad bhasete suryo nashashankoda pavaka yad gatva na nivartanti tadhamam paramam. Having gone where one never ever returns, that is my supreme abode. So Krishna has already established that attaining his abode is a finale. It's a final destination. It is an abode of love. It is an eternal destination because that is the ultimate original position and the resting place of the soul. As compared to that, all other planetary systems, all other attainments in this world are Brahma Bhuna Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. From the lowest to the highest planets in this material world, all are temporary destinations. Even for the higher planets, Krishna has explained in this chapter that one will attain them and enjoy Divi Deva Bhogan. You'll get to drink Somaras and enjoy heavenly delights only as long as you can pay. It's like a resort where you can pay. We discussed all of this last week. I'm just quickly revising some of these points. Where you can pay, and what is the currency of payment? Punya. Not just by monetary dollars and rupees or ringgits. The payment is the currency of punya. But as soon as punya runs out, Chine Pune Matya Lokam Vishanti. Just like when your hotel stay is over, how many of you remember when our hotel booking is over, while they are treating us so nicely during the hotel stay, the hotel staff? As soon as it is coming close to 12 o'clock on the checkout day, if they don't hear from you, my dear sir, you need help to come out. If still you don't respond, they will call you again and say, sir, if you don't leave by 2 o'clock, we will charge you another half a day rent, half a day hotel charge. And beyond that, we'll charge you another full day. So actually, even all the enjoyment, even all the royal treatment, the wonderful things, even in the heavenly planets, it's not a transaction of love. You pay and you get. That's why even the Devaloka, there is fear. The fear in Devaloka, of course, sometimes Asuras attack, generally it is peaceful. But the fear in the Devaloka is, oh, my punya is exhausting, oh, my punya is exhausting. Now I'll be kicked out, now I'll be kicked out. And I have to go back to earth in Kuala Lumpur or Mumbai or wherever we may be. When we compare it with the heavenly planet, it's so miserable. So it's such an anxiety. It is said that Devatas go into such deep anxiety, some go into depression. Just the anticipation that their punya is getting over. And I'm not exaggerating. This is how the scriptures describe it. I'm not poeticizing this. It is said that as the time of their punya is getting over, it said the moment their punya runs out, it's like a meter. I don't know how it exactly works. Like a parking meter. Tick, 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 tick. You set, you paid for 2 hours. After 2 hours, ting, this is the old style meters. Of course, nowadays it's become very digital. Because you would, slowly come from a particular value down to 0. The oldies may remember. So some of us have seen old times, new times on, but after sometimes goes to 0, cling, and then becomes red. So the police can quickly see. So it is said, as soon as it touches 0, it is said the Devatas who are in the heavenly planets, the way it works is instantly they are released from the heavenly planets. What released means? It is said literally the Devatas fall down from the heavenly planets. And they practically fall through it. So let's say they are standing on the ground. You're enjoying a beautiful show by Ramba and Urvashi dancing in Indraloka. And it's middle way and you are in the peak of your good time. And somehow your meter runs out. And no wait till show end, nothing. If you're sitting somewhere on a nice seat, you just fall down, you pass through the whole loka as if the whole ground opened, as if it doesn't open, but your body just rushes down. and the body falls. The subtle body, sort of gross body, the subtle body, it falls. So this is something like death in the heavenly planets. It's not death quite like the old age death that happens on earth, but this body falls and it falls towards the earth, it is said. And as the Devata is falling, like, imagine the sudden shock that the Devata gets. Being suddenly pushed, from the heights of pleasure, such a rude exit, we rarely see even on earth. And it is said, as the Devata is following and as he's extremely miserable, he's crying. And it is said that crying Devata, as he's falling through the heaven towards the earth, dying, he gives up his subtle body of Devata through his eyes, through the tears. So because he's crying, through the tears which come out from his eyes, his soul leaves the Devata body. And it is said that teardrop through which the soul leaves from the Devata body, as it falls on the earth, it is said it mixes with the rainwater, and it falls onto the earth. This is the description given in the Shastra. This is not, I am not making this up. Falls on the earth, attached to this water drop, and then is drunk by a plant, this water drop, and the soul goes through the water and goes and attaches itself to a grain. The grain eventually is harvested, eaten by somebody in the form of food. Typically a man, he eats the food. The soul which is attached to the grain goes into his body. It's converted into vital fluids, is injected into the female, and he passes from the male into the female and then takes shelter in the womb of the female. This is how the Devatas from the heaven fall down and take birth again as humans. This is the scenario which is described. It's quite a rude shock. That's why Krishna is saying, why are you hankering for this kind of gain? Imagine the anxiety, every day that is over, you are thinking, oh, only so many days remaining. Oh, only so many days remaining. After that, what I have to do? Again in the womb, again, so many austerities, so many punya, go through so many difficulties, again gather merit. So again go and enjoy in heaven. Again go through the same cycle. So Krishna is saying, why are you hankering for these temporary destinations? Come to the permanent destination, but permanent destination is not possible by worshipping Devatas, Bhutas, Pitris, or anyone else in this world. It is possible only by coming to my eternal abode. Yanti Madhyajino Pimam. Those who worship me come to me. So Krishna is exhorting all living entities that the most intelligent, spiritually intelligent path for the living entity is to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of God. Because through that perfection, one achieves a destination free from fear, Vaikuntha. No anxiety. Even in heaven, there is anxiety. What to speak of ordinary living entities? Even Indra has anxiety. Because even in Indra Loka, the Taliban attack and take over. This is not only a problem of earth. This is the problem. Brahma Bhuvana Loka. Even Brahmaji has been chased by demons and at certain times terrorized by them. There are episodes like this in the scriptures. So this is an eternal. There are these Taliban-like terrorist demons all over the universe. And Indra is oftentimes thrown out of his. The scriptures are so many examples of Indra being kicked out. Sorry for using that word, but literally kicked out. Where he had no home and he was literally taking shelter in a lake, in a flower, hiding in a forest for ages until he could get back his kingdom. So that is the nature of the material world. even for big devatas, what to speak of us. So Krishna is saying, why you want to be in this world of Kuntha? Even the so-called happiness in this world of Kuntha is actually nothing more than a temporary absence of anxiety or a temporary counteraction of misery. So aspire to attain the eternal abode, and that eternal abode is possible to be attained only through Ananya Bhakti. And that is precisely the point that Krishna is trying to make in this chapter. The goal is not good karma. The goal is not just becoming pious, being austere. It is about developing pure devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the next section, verses 26 to verses 34, Krishna is glorifying bhakti to himself, especially the bhakti which is pure devotion. So what is it that Lord Krishna is going to say? So let us start with one of the most famous verses. Already in 9.14 and 9.22, Krishna has already described the glories of pure devotional service. Mahatmanastu Maham Partha Devim Prakriti Mashataha Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Yatva Bhutadim Abhyayam. So now Krishna is saying this pure devotion that I have described in 9.14 and 9.22. 9.22 is the verse of Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham, where Krishna says that those who are exclusively devoted to me, I provide them, I give them comprehensive coverage of my personal protection and personal nourishment and personally arranging everything that they do not need to worry. So Krishna starts by glorifying the nature of his pure devotion and the simplicity of that pure devotion, because a person may think, oh, if pure devotion is actually so exalted, so high, then logically one may think that that must be the most difficult thing, most complicated thing to do. But Krishna now tries to assure all of us that actually performing pure devotion to him is actually not at all complicated. In fact, it is simplest. Simplest in the sense that anyone and everyone can do it. There is no special qualification needed at a material level for worshipping him in pure devotion. And Krishna says that very beautifully by emphasizing that actually all that is important when it is offered to him is devotion. And anything that is offered to him in devotion is accepted by him. So he says in 9.26, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya uparitam ashnami parayatatmanaha. Very beautiful verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya uparitam. This is a very interesting verse. This is one of the probably the only verse where within the same verse Krishna is repeating the word bhakti twice. Krishna is extremely poetic. He's the topmost kavi. So obviously he's not repeating because it's a mistake. He couldn't think of any other word. So why is Krishna repeating? Krishna has very deliberately repeated certain things in certain places. There's only one verse in the Bhagavad Gita which is repeated twice, almost the same, was repeated twice, because that is the most important instruction. This verse, Krishna emphasizes the word bhakti twice, because Krishna wants to emphasize patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya. Please understand, devotion. If somebody offers to me with devotion, what? Even a leaf, even a flower, or a fruit, or even if you cannot offer this, even simply some water. At least one of these four will be available with us. With devotion, whatever is offered to me with devotion, bhaktya uparitam, ashnami, I eat. Prayatatmanaha, he was offered to me in pure consciousness, which means with proper devotion, not with materialistic desire. But if somebody is offering me with devotion, there are so many wonderful examples of this, right? In Ramayana, there is the example of Shabari, who offered to Ram Chandra the small berries after having tasted them. I mean, from an external perspective, even from a ritualistic Vedic perspective, it was contaminated. But because it was pure devotion, Ramchandra accepted. Because it was bhaktya uparitam. So being poor is not a disqualification for bhakti, but one doesn't have to feel that, oh, I cannot become a devotee because Yudhishthir Maharaj was Krishna's pure devotee. So was Sudama, who was extremely poor. Sudama was so poor that he did not even have anything to take with him to offer to Krishna when he was going to Dwarka. And he told his wife, I'm going to, if you're sending me to Dwarka, at least give me some gift to give to my friend Krishna. It's not nice to go empty handed. She said, I don't have anything. But wait, let me try to get something from the neighborhood. So she borrowed some chipped rice, poha, which was also not of a very high quality. Leftover poha, somebody gave them a little bit. So she just packed it in a small potli, a cloth bag, and gave it to Sudama. And that story is very beautiful. We cannot do justice to that story, but that story very beautifully exemplifies the story of Shabri and the story of Sudama, this particular principle. How Krishna is not actually after our offering, isn't it? Krishna is not after our offering because he's already the owner of everything we have. In fact, whatever we have, he has only given. So are we going to impress him with our gift? Oh, I have given you this fruit. See, mango. Have you ever seen this? This is Alfonso mango. Expensive. So we are telling the creator and showing him his own creation and trying to impress him by something which we have no contribution in making. So the Lord has manifested everything. He is the owner of everything. He is the enjoyer of everything. All we are doing is offering something which belongs to him back to him. So all we are adding in it is love. Because giving him back something which he already owns is not what he is actually interested in. He is interested in what comes along with it, which is love. So coming back to Sudama's story, Sudama, when he had that packet of chipped rice, he packed it. And it is said he was traveled a long distance carrying that small packet with him. And he went through so much of dust and dirt, and this packet itself became dirty. It got soaked in the sweat of Sudama. And you can imagine, because he was just walking to Dwarka from wherever he was staying. So obviously it was from an external perspective, it was in a terrible condition. And when he reached Dwarka, of course, we all know how Krishna welcomed him and how there was such a wonderful reciprocation of love. And Krishna was massaging the feet of Sudama. They said Krishna washed Sudama's feet with his tears. And Krishna personally removed the thorns from the feet of Sudama. So it's a very, very beautiful scene. And eventually Krishna asked him that, please tell me, what have you brought for me as a gift? Sudama was so shy and hesitant. He was not even willing to show. what he has brought, because he knew that it is not fit to be offered to the Lord of Dwarka. Not only was it ordinary in the sense that it was just ship rice, but it wasn't, it was stale, it was soaked in his sweat, cloth was dirty and dusty. How to offer something like this? Krishna was so eager to have that. Krishna greedily snatched that packet from him, opened it, practically snatched with great force, opened it and started taking morsels and putting into his mouth. So it's a very, very beautiful pastime. It's mentioned in Krishna book. There are many, many lessons, many beautiful things. He ate 3 morsels and Rukmini Devi stopped him. So she said, "Oh Lord, if you eat more, I will have to become..." And you have already given him the wealth of the whole universe by eating 3 morsels of this. So what was actually Krishna enjoying so much? Was that poha so nicely made? So the poha did not have any materially attractive feature, but what Krishna saw in that poha was that pure devotion of Sudama. He was enjoying not the poha, he was enjoying the pure devotion. Of course, this doesn't mean that we should give that kind of poha to Krishna, or we should eat berries and offer to Krishna like that. These pastimes are to indicate how, even in such extraordinary situations, Krishna, for his pure devotees, those whose exclusive purpose is to serve him and please him, what he's actually interested in is the pure devotion. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya parachit. So Krishna has demonstrated that. So what Krishna is saying is, actually to worship is so simple. Anybody can do it. If they want to express their love for me by giving me something, they don't have to have something big. It is not that, oh, you have to give a diamond crown to Balaji in Tirupati, only then you are considered a great devotee if you spend crores of rupees. If you don't have, you can still go to Balaji. The fruit, you cannot afford a fruit, you can take a flower. You cannot afford a flower, you can pluck a leaf from somewhere and take, or you can just take some water. What is the essential ingredient the Lord is saying is devotion. Pure devotion. And what does pure devotion mean? An earnest, sincere desire to please and serve the Lord. If that is there, then Krishna enjoys that offering. So that is the process of bhakti, and that is why Krishna is telling through this particular verse that actually to approach me through devotion is not all difficult. It may seem that it's such a high attainment. Yes, it is the highest attainment. But it's actually simple. It's not a problem. The difficulty is not in any technicality of approaching Krishna or any pre-qualification of approaching Krishna. The challenge for most living entities is wanting to love Krishna. That is where the difficulty comes in serving Krishna. Other than that, there is no other difficulty. For example, if somebody asks us, what does it take for us to love our parents? Do we need any special recognition, any special training, any special position? Do we have to earn first money or earn big degrees before we can love our parents? No. What do we need to do? Just have to love them. That's all. The challenge is in the loving. The challenge, the need is not about a big pre-qualification. The challenge is about loving. So that is what we have to develop. And of course, for us who have stayed away from him for so long, it is a challenge. Not because it requires any material pre-qualification, but by remaining in this material for so long, we have become so self-centered that for us to offer something to the Lord without any material motive, just to please him, is not easy. It is simple, but it is not easy. Because we are so conditioned. न जानी भक्ति कर्मे जड़मति ओरेची samsara घोरे Gopinath. Bhaktivinoda Thakur praise in this beautiful song Gopinath. न जानी भक्ति कर्मे जड़मति न जानी भक्ति ओरेची samsara घोरे Gopinath. Oh Gopinath, I do not know what is bhakti. Which means I do not know how to love you without any motivation. Because my mind, karme jadamati, I am always tempted and attracted to do things only if I get something in return. And that is why porechi samsara ghore, that's why I am trapped in this cycle of birth and death. Oh Gopinath, please save me. So how do we learn this devotion? We are so trapped. We learn this devotion when we associate with devotees, when we study the Bhagavatam, the association of devotees, then gradually our mentality starts going away from this compulsive desire to think for oneself selfishly and starts appreciating the principle of selfless seva to the Supreme Personality of God. And when one actually applies oneself in that way, one actually realizes that being selfless is the most selfish thing to do, because the bliss in selfless service is much greater than selfishly trying to enjoy. That's the secret that we don't know. Of course, we may know theoretically, but we won't have that faith unless we try it out. So we have to do that. So Krishna is saying, this is such a beautiful, important verse. Krishna is saying, anyone can take bhakti. Nobody is barred. But then Krishna also recognizes that there will be so many, like what we just discussed, who still struggle with that mood of bhakti. Because what does bhakti mean? Bhakti means one desires to serve Krishna and please Krishna, and then one does something to please him. That is what bhakti is. Bhakti begins with the desire to do something for the Lord, to serve him or please him. So even before the seva is done to the Lord, the seva is already offered to him in the mind. I'll give you an example. So Balram Purnima is coming, or was coming few days ago. So I think many of you may have prepared offerings and other things. So when we as devotees prepare offerings, what do? We think, oh, Balram Purnima is king. What does Lord Balram like? Let me prepare this. Chandrika prepared a very special cake for Balram. She prepared a huge feast for Balram Purnima, for Lord Balram. So there was a very beautiful cake, multi-layer cake, very exotic one. So she prepared that and she offered. So what is the thinking in the process? The thinking in the process is, I want to do something to please Balram. So I will make this cake for pleasing Balram. And then we prepare and then we offer. That is how bhakti works. So even before we engage in the seva, mentally we have already decided to do something for the pleasure of the Lord. This bhakti, pure bhakti, begins, the cycle begins with a desire to selflessly serve and please the Lord. But unfortunately, there are many living entities who have not come to the point or platform of being impelled by a desire for pure devotion. Of course, we are all not on the level of pure devotion. So sometimes we may think like that, some other times we may not think like that. So our nature is a bit mixed. But ideally, this is how it should be all the time. But there are others who struggle with this. So Krishna immediately after saying this in 9.26, he gives an option to those who may not be yet on that platform that they can do Ananya Bhakti by always doing everything with devotion for Krishna. He gives them an option by coming one level lower. One level lower. See, Krishna is so accommodative. He gives the highest immediately after the highest. See, Krishna will always give. Don't worry, don't worry. If you're not there, try here first and then you can come there. So Krishna says, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities, tapasya you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. This is something very interesting. At a quick look, one may not realize the difference between 9.26 and 9.27, but in 9.27, what Krishna is saying is, in 9.26, he is saying, do the work for me from beginning to end. Here Krishna is saying, whatever you are doing, you do it for me. There is a difference. Whatever you are eating, you offer it to me. Whatever tapasya you are doing, you do it for me. Can anyone explain the subtle difference between these two based on what we just discussed? Anyone?
Kind of a renunciation, Prabhuji.
Sorry? Again?
Renunciation means whatever we do, we can do with the pleasure of the God.
Yes, that is correct. But what is the difference between the previous shloka of Ananya Bhakti and this shloka? Why is Krishna saying, whatever you do it for me? What does that actually indicate? So the point is, the previous verse, the devotee is doing whatever Krishna would like him to do. He is not considering what I want to do or what I like to do. But here, the devotee is still not at that point. He still wants to do what he wants to do or he likes to do. So the Lord is saying, okay, never mind. You are doing what you like to do, of course, as long as it is within dharma, it's still okay. You may perform your prescribed duties. There may be so many other kinds of activities you may do. But make sure whatever you are doing, you offer it to me. You connect it to me. Whatever you are eating, maybe you did not think of making the cake for me. Maybe you made the cake because you like the cake, but at least you offer it to me before you eat. Correct? Two differences. One is, oh, the Lord likes to eat this kind of a cake. I heard somewhere. Let me make that cake and offer. So in that thinking, there is no thinking of, I want to eat this cake, that's why I'm making. But another thinking is, I really feel like eating this strawberry cake. And I have not got nice fresh strawberries. So I will make this cake. After I make this, I will offer this cake to Jagannath. Jai Jagannath. So that is also nice. But what did you do? You didn't start with a desire to serve God. You started with a desire to do what you like to do or what you like to eat. Then you connected it to God. Correct? That's the subtle difference. Yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusham adarpan. So Krishna is saying, okay, never mind. Initially we are so karme jadamati, najani bhakati. But you connected to me and whatever, not just your prescribed duties, anything, whatever you cook, you are cooking in your home, make sure you offer to me. You want to eat, you like to eat kurma rice. You want to make kurma, okay, you make kurma rice. But first offer to me, then you eat my prasad. And that also is considered a very wonderful stage of devotion, not ananya. It is higher than karma yoga, higher than jnana mishra bhakti, higher. It is almost pure devotion, but one level short. At least we can come to that platform as sadhakas. And this is the expectation from us, because we are not at a level of ananya, or we may sometimes become ananya. We are occasional ananyas. Suddenly, one fine day, we get some inspiration. I want to do this for Krishna because Krishna likes it. But that happens probably 2 times out of 100. And 98 times we do for ourselves, and then we somehow try to connect it to Krishna. That somehow connecting it to Krishna is this verse. Yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhosi, dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. I want to buy a big house because I love it. But now that I've chosen a beautiful house for myself, the way I like it, now I have to offer it to Krishna. So I'll do puja, I'll put Krishna in the center, I'll worship him. I say, Krishna, I offer this to you. As against, I want to build a beautiful temple for Krishna based on how Krishna would like it, based on how Krishna's service should be done. That's a different thinking. I'm giving multiple examples so that you can understand and appreciate the subtle difference between these two. If you're unable to understand the subtle difference, is okay. It's not at least what we should do at our stage is follow this as sadhakas. Try to follow. Even following this verse is not easy. Yat karoshi, yadashnashi, yad joshi, dadasi, yat tapasisi, tat kurusho madarpanam. How much of what we do and what we eat, we always offer to God. We are not even here. What to speak of higher? But this is how Krishna is being so broad. Krishna is being so considerate. He's saying, okay, you are not always impelled by love for me, but at least even while you're doing the activities where you're impelled by your own desire, somehow connected to me. Do it as an offering for me, because when you do it as an offering for me, by connecting to me, the activity will become spiritualized. That is Yukta Vairagya. That is Sannyasa Yoga. Through that, detachment from material energy will come. And attachment to Krishna will come. That's why the Lord says in the next word, Shubha Shubha Falairevam Mokshase Karma Bandhanaihi Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi. When you follow like this, Yatkaroshi Yadashnasi, you will become free from the karmic reactions. Shubha Shubha Phala. Moksha se karma bandhani. From karma bandhan, you will become free. Because if you simply do yad karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad joshi, dadasi, if you simply do what you like, if you simply eat what you like, all these things will simply bind you. But by adding mad arpanam, offering all this to me, you will first thing benefit you will get is you will be free from the karmic reaction. The second benefit you will get is you will increase in spiritual knowledge and you will become liberated, vimukto. And ultimately, through that activity of connecting to me repeatedly, you will become so purified by that sannyasa yoga. Sannyasa means detachment from matter and yoga means connection to Krishna. So the sannyasa yoga yuktatma. that yogi, that yuktatma who's connected to the sannyasa yoga, detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna, they will become so purified that eventually they will be so attracted to Krishna by repeatedly offering things to Krishna that gradually they will forget their own motivation for performing activities. And instead of performing activities what they like, they will start thinking of what should I do, please Krishna. What should I do, please the devotees. What should I cook that Krishna will like? What should I give in charity that Krishna will be pleased, Guru will be pleased, devotees will be pleased? That transformation on consciousness will come, and that will eventually lead one to pure devotion, which will enable one to come to Ananya Bhakti and achieve the spiritual world. Mam Upaishyasi, you will eventually be able to come to me. This is the Yukta Vairagya that Krishna is hinting at in this particular shloka. Yukta Vairagya means one is detached, but one is not yet detached from all the activities. One is still performing the activities, but connecting them to Krishna, and in that way getting purified. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami beautifully defines this Yukta Vairagya by saying, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarhan Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagya Muchyate. That when one engages the object of the senses in Krishna's service without being attached to one's own enjoyment, that kind of engagement is known as Yukta Vairagya. Detachment, which is Yukta, detachment which includes enjoyment, so to say. So that is a practical process, because it is not possible for us to renounce the world in the traditional sense. Better than that is to engage everything in Krishna's service. And that was the recommendation of Krishna to Arjuna right from 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, 5th chapter that Krishna has built in. So this is a very beautiful principle Krishna gives to Arjuna, that through such Yukta Vairagya, by connecting everything that one does to Krishna, one will gradually get purified and come to the platform of Ananya Bhakti. So one should not become despondent if one cannot come to Ananya Bhakti. It is not always possible to jump to Ananya Bhakti. One can aspire for Ananya Bhakti, but one still has to take gradual steps towards it. And this is a very important step. The sadhaka must begin by offering everything to the Lord. That's why many devotees, practically anything they buy, even the clothes they buy, they will first offer it to Krishna. Some devotees do that. Some devotees literally do that. Some devotees do it in their mind. It is, the whole idea is to develop that consciousness that ultimately everything we do, yat karoshi yadashnashi yad josi dadasi, somehow or the other connect all our activities to Krishna. All activities to Krishna. Of course, needless to say, one cannot offer sinful activities to Krishna. One cannot say, I robbed the bank and offered it to Krishna. I murdered somebody and offered it to Krishna. No. So it obviously must be dharmic activities, and that's the least. Now, having said this, Krishna goes to another subsection within pure devotion, where he's going to describe another very beautiful quality of pure devotion. So Krishna wants to explain how he deals with this pure devotee in the next few verses. So actually, maybe I think I should stop here, because we have 7-8 minutes. I don't think I should rush through, because there are many beautiful points here. So the next few verses, actually, Krishna talks about how he deals with his devotees, how he deals with pure devotees, how he deals with impure devotees. So the impure devotees is something of more interest to us because many of us, if not all, fall into that category where we are devotees, we aren't quite devotees in the same way or to the same level as what Krishna is describing here. Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Devim Prakriti Mashrita Bhajanti Ananya Manaso. We are not worshipping with Ananya Manaso, nor are we fully qualifying so many of those criteria. You're probably getting 5-10% marks out of 100, most of those criteria. So Krishna tells how he looks at those devotees. So it's a very beautiful set of verses, the next few. So I don't want to rush through it. Actually, I was hoping to complete this chapter today as I announced earlier, but never mind. It's worthwhile to contemplate on these points in depth, because these understandings, especially in the 9th chapter, 10th chapter, are very important verses. Subsequently, we will go through faster through the chapters, but 9th chapter, 10th chapter, some of these verses are very key and very important for sadhakas, especially for the bhakti yogis to understand, because that understanding forms the very basis of their practice. And it forms the basis of understanding by which one's consciousness is shaped. This is very, very important. So do not think that we are going too slow, we are wasting time discussing too much. The sad reality is, even when we hear 100 things, we'll probably remember at most 10 to 15. That's why we have to hear the same thing 5, 7, 8 times before it even starts registering in our consciousness. So never mind the elaboration, never mind the repetition. All these are very important because our Kali Yuga mind is very hard to train otherwise. So with this, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to open the floor for questions or comments on what we have discussed so far. So we have actually covered only 3 verses, 26, 27, and 28. Sorry, 28. Yeah, 26, 27, and 28 today. And we will continue from 29 next time. So any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Sudhir Sundar Prabhu.
Prabhu, I just want to confirm one point.
Yeah.
Example that, let's say, can we apply the concept of Yukta Vairagya? Example, let's say a lawyer is able to save his client, although actually he committed murder or what is that, like something like that. And what is that, based on the proceeds of the fee which is given to him, he used the fees to example give some donation to the temple or the Lord and so on. How does such kind of things play, Prabhu? Because he was doing his prescribed duty, but then when he was doing his prescribed duty, actually he managed to save somebody who is actually did something wrong. Is this okay, Prabhu? Because he was doing his prescribed duty. Okay?
See, if one is doing, okay, so of course we do not know that it's a hypothetical situation. We do not know the details of the case. So the point is, if one is doing one's own prescribed duty, then one is not at fault. Sin is not incurred in performing one's own duty. Krishna is very clear about that, even if it is faulty. So if one is following one's duty according to one's own nature, then one doesn't get sin. Now, of course, we do not know the technicalities of the case, so I don't want to comment, what he did. But it doesn't matter. If he's following his dharma properly, even though in that dharma, sometimes it may not be according to the highest principles of morality, because he's at a lower qualities of nature, certain individuals, the system doesn't penalize. For example, a businessman, a shopkeeper, Prabhupada often gives that example. He will always tell all his customers, oh my dear sir, to you I am giving the lowest price. I'm not making any profit for you because you're my very dear customer. Do you think the shopkeeper is not making any profit? And he tells this to everyone. I remember in the childhood when I used to go, my parents, almost every shopkeeper said, oh, I am just giving you exactly at the market price that I got. For you, no profit. It just makes us feel good. But obviously, it's not true. If he does that, he will not make any money. Why is he having the shop if he's not making profit? So there is some liberty given for business, for some white lies. This is not fraud. This is not outright cheating, but this is just some white lies, as they call. So in business, in politics, there are certain things which need to be done because one cannot function in the world without that. So if one has that particular nature according to guna and karma, which places one in that kind of a profession or seva, and one acts according to that, then there is no fault. And whatever fruits one gets from that kind of a seva, one can offer the fruits of that seva to the Lord. One can actually, it is best to offer it to the Lord. So while it is true, now let's take an extreme example. Now this was a situation where we are talking about person who's performing his prescribed duty, earning money and giving to the Lord. Maybe in his prescribed duty, some of the situations may not be ideal. That is one. But let's take an extreme situation. Let's talk about a person who's actually a thief. So what happens if a thief offers the money that he gets from stealing to Krishna? Very interesting point. So while it is true, Krishna doesn't approve that one should steal from others, definitely Krishna doesn't approve, and that is not at all recommended. But at least one should consider that out of what he stole, at least he decided to offer something to Krishna. So that is appreciated by the Lord. In one sense, there is no credit to giving charity for something which never belonged to you, right? Sometimes, you see this very funny thing. You are in somebody else's house. The host is given a feast, and you are encouraging all the guests, oh, please eat a lot, eat this also, eat that also, take more, take more. Actually, you are nowhere in the equation. It's easy to give more and more and more because none of that actually belongs to you. So actually, there is no credit in that activity, other than, of course, your good nature. Because that doesn't belong to you. If I just go, out and, say I'm offering this road to you, I'm offering this building to you, it means nothing because it doesn't belong to you. Similarly, for a thief, when he's offering something to God, because it is stolen, it never belonged to him. Actually, he has no right to offer it to God. It doesn't mean anything. He has actually stolen. But nonetheless, the Lord is so purifying that whatever one connects with the Lord, even in this way, it doesn't mean one will become free from sin just by offering something to the Lord. It is not like that. But if one offers, then gradually the Lord, by seeing that small positive mentality in him, will somehow arrange a situation by which that particular thief will get purified. It may be a painful purification, may not be necessarily a pleasant one. The Lord will be kind because there is somewhere some devotion. That is Krishna's nature. Krishna sees even a little bit good, like in the story of Putana. So the point is, while one must be careful about what one offers to the Lord, how one offers, and there are many rules and regulations around it, the point is, it is always better to connect something to Krishna than to not connect it. I'll tell you one story and we will end. Sorry, I'm taking a few more minutes. It's a very beautiful story. So there was one person who came to Prabhupada and he was very addicted to drinking alcohol. Prabhupada told him he should not drink alcohol. But he was not able to give up. Not able to give up. He was struggling. He was not able to give up. So finally, Prabhupada told him, okay, as you are drinking alcohol, you think in Bhagavad Gita, in Krishna, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, I am the taste of water. As you are drinking alcohol, you contemplate that the taste of that alcohol is Krishna. So that drunkard agreed. And he would drink, and whenever he would drink, he would contemplate the taste of this alcohol is Krishna. And because he followed that instruction given by an advanced devotee, and by that connecting to Krishna and that contemplation, gradually that person became purified, that slowly he automatically gave up drinking alcohol just by that connection with Krishna. This is the power of connection to Krishna. Of course, this is not a license to drink alcohol, saying, okay, from tomorrow I will drink alcohol, and this is I will meditate like this. But the point is that in any situation, if somehow one can, that's why Krishna is emphasizing, bring me in somehow. If you do it at that level, it will take a long time to get purified. Maybe somehow that devotee was also very sincere and was really trying, or that person, whoever he was, I don't know about his background. He was so sincere, he was very much trying, but he was struggling. So somehow the Lord helped him and he had this meditation. So the point is that when we connect something to Krishna, how it has such a very strong purificatory power, purificatory influence, that one gradually loses taste for lower materialistic things and develops attraction to Krishna. So the point is not that in this situation drinking alcohol is okay. The point is somehow because he remembered Krishna through that activity, he somehow connected, then he became purified. But when he became purified, he gave it up and came to a higher stage of consciousness. So Amit is asking, the thief still suffers the reaction for the theft, right? Yes, that's what I told you. So Krishna will do what is needful. If you offer the money to Krishna, of course, how exactly Krishna will deal with it, that only Krishna knows. That I am not Krishna's authorized spokesperson on his behalf to tell how he will deal with it. So that is his own. Krishna is, when he deals with his devotees and those, he can deal in millions of ways. But the point is, one should not think that one can do a sinful activity, offer a part of the results to Krishna and become free from that sin. No, it doesn't work like that. In fact, sinning on the strength of devotion is itself an offense. So that is not a practice But the point is, if somebody is already entrenched in that activity, somehow connects the fruits of those activities to Krishna, that will help them to get extricated from their deep-rooted attachment for those sinful activities. That is the point. How exactly it will happen? That is up to Krishna. How those reactions Krishna will give, how much he will give, how much he will not give, how much he will forgive. That is Krishna's special discretion on a case-by-case basis. Krishna may choose to forgive, Krishna may not choose, Krishna may give some reactions, Krishna may give more reactions, Krishna may give. But the point is, Krishna will purify. But how that purification will happen, that will, be unfolded in due course of time. Prabhu, sorry, I gave what are we saying? So more important would be the motive of, one cannot have a cheating motivation. One cannot say, okay, maybe I should just sin and then I should somehow offer it to Krishna. You cannot cheat Krishna. If you have that kind of mentality, then Krishna says, Dyutam chalatam asmi. I am the greatest. Those who try to cheat me, I can be the greatest cheater. Prabhu, does this answer your question overall?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, yeah, true. Because I think what is there spoke of both the extreme. Because earlier on I was thinking about the other cases of a particular thief which goes and steal as his prescribed duty and so on. Thanks, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sometimes now I'm just extrapolating on that point. Sorry, I'm just taking a couple of more minutes. If you are getting late, you can drop off. Just extrapolating on that point, Krishna says, Yad Ashnasi, whatever you eat, you offer to me. This is a very interesting point. Of course, one cannot offer to Krishna. Krishna said only Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, not chickenam, muttonam, fisham, eggam. So only vegetarian items one can offer to Krishna. So within that, there are so many standards. The best is to cook the most sattvic things for the Lord and offer to him with pure devotion. But then there are so many situations in life when one is not on that standard, that one is not able to eat prasad of that standard, what is expected all the time. So while that may not be the ideal situation, does it mean that one should not connect what one is eating with Krishna? No, one should. So the least one can do, if one is in an odd situation, Prabhupada would say that if one is in, really in a situation where one cannot, then at least one can say Vishnu, 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 and mentally offer and then accept something. So the point is, it is better to connect to Krishna than to not connect to Krishna. Sometimes we become so caught up in the ritualistic considerations that we forget the principle that what is important is to connect everything. Again, everything here means we cannot do sinful activities and then offer them to Krishna. That will be displeasing to the Lord, and he will definitely not accept it either. And he may purify us in that situation in a way that may not be particularly pleasant for us. But at least whatever we do, we should do. So that is very important. So that is why, as devotees in our life, somehow at some level, at least at a mental level, if not in a very explicit ritualistic way, if we cannot offer, at least at a mental level, we have to see how we can connect everything to Krishna. Then we will see how very rapidly our consciousness transforms. Then we can make rapid advance. Okay, any other comment or question? Okay, so thank you all very much. So we will complete the chapter the next week. Sorry, I was a little bit behind what I had planned to do. So 30th is Shri Krishna Janmashtami, just a gentle reminder. Recommended fast, ideally full fast until midnight. for devotees who want to observe Prabhupada's appearance day, which is the next day, Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. We also fast on the next day until noon. So what we usually do is we observe a full fast until midnight, and after midnight we do not break the fast by eating grains, but rather we eat some Ekadashi grain, non-grain prasad. We have some Anukalpa, but we continue to fast and only have grains at noon the next day. So do according to your capacity. Of course, pleasing Krishna is good. Pleasing Krishna's pure devotee is even better. So please see whatever according to your capacity you can do. There are lots of temples organizing a lot of festivities online. I'm sure ISKCON KL is also doing so. As news comes and links are posted, I will share with you. Many other temples is doing. Chopadi temple is doing in Krishna Fest. I think some links you have seen in that regard. So you can please keep yourself busy and engaged. There are many daily classes already lined up on various of these portals to bring up. I think in ISKCON KL, they're having some nice Harikatha classes on Krishna's pastimes which are going on. So a lot of these activities are going on to absorb ourselves. So we'll do that. So I'll let you know as we come closer to Saturday whether we are having this coming Saturday's class. At this moment, I do not see any clashing big class. So I will let you know. In any case, if we have class also, we will not be discussing the regular Bhagavad. We'll probably be discussing on Janmashtami itself. But I'll let you know either Friday evening or Saturday early morning about the coming Saturday. So with that, thank you all very much. Tantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Samveta.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Wonderful
Prabhuji.
class.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nameshwar.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Shraddha ji, Rita ji, Hare Krishna. Suraj, how are you? Haribol
Hare
Mihira.
Krishna.
Hare
Shalini ji,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Sapna ji. Yes, Anand Sundari Mata ji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Sini ji, Hare Krishna. Radhika Charan Mata ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Amnishta Mata ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Sapna ji, Hare Krishna. So thank you all everyone. Hare Krishna, Archana Leela ji and family. I will see you earliest on Saturday, and if not on Saturday, then on the following Wednesday. So all of us, let's have a wonderful Janmashtami celebration for the pleasure of the Lord. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.